Yes. Sure. Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Harold. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'll be back.
Hi,
Can't
everybody.
hear.
Okay, we're on Kufyu Dalid, 114. We're talking about cooking chaylev with milk. Even dalachila lo lucky, because of ein isser chalal isser, there was already a previous isser to eat chaylev, so the isser of basar b'chalav. There's no chalois, so you don't get malchus for that. Abishul nami lo lucky. So when he cooks the chaylev with the milk, he also doesn't get malchus. Ikadi amri abishul kulam lo pligi de lucky. There is no prohibition of cooking chaylev. There's a prohibition of eating chaylev. So the problem of isser chalal isser is only when you eat chaylev with milk. But if you cook chaylev with milk, there's no prior isser chalal isser problem. So there, everybody will agree you get malchus. Ki pligia achila. The machlokas is eating that mixture. There's already a prohibition of eating chaylev. Mandar ben elokadai ein isser chalal isser. Since there's already a prohibition of eating chaylev, you can't have a second isra of basar b'cholav with chaylev come on to get malchus. Mandar meloike because lahachi avka rachmona lachila b'loshen bishul. It says lo savash shel gedi b'chalevimo. One of the lo savash shel gedis teach me that I cannot eat milk cooked with meat. So, but it doesn't say achila. So it's connected to cooking. Kiven dabisha loki achila nami loki. So since we've established that because there's no problem of isser chalal isser because there was no prior prohibition of cooking chaylev, so there is now a prohibition of cooking basar b'cholav chaylev with milk. Achila nami lucky because the bishul and achila are connected.
I'm good. What's
The
up?
same that they're not arguing. That one who says that you get malchus is the one that you cook chaylev. There is no prior prohibition of cooking chaylev. So the prohibition of cooking chaylev with milk has a chalois. When you don't, the one who says no malchus, that's when you eat chaylev in milk. Since there's already a prior prohibition of eating chaylev, ein isser chalal isser, there would be no malchus. V'lo pligi. Meisvei, I'll ask you a kasha. Hamavashel b'mei chalav. Mei chalav is whey. When you make cheese, it's like milk water. If you cook whey with meat, you're potter. It's not considered chalal. At least midoraisa. Dam shebishla b'chalav. If you cook blood with milk, it's not blood is not meat. Also potter. Hatsomas gidin kranayim tlafayim shebishla b'chalav. The bones, the sinews, the horns, and the hoofs that you cooked with milk. That's not meat. Potur, there's no basar b'chol. A pigul noiser vatome. Pigul is when the Kohen had in mind to do the zrika tomorrow. Noiser is kochim that was left over beyond 24 hours. Tome is kochim that became tome. All of these, if you eat them, there's already an isser. Now, shebishlan b'chol, if you cook these things with milk, chayev. So this seems to be a proof that yesh isser chalal isser. So more fine. High tanis of isser chalal isser, but there's other tanoim that says it doesn't. So it's not a kasha. Hamavasha b'meichal of potur b'sayel rish lakish. If you cook whey with meat, you're potur from basar b'chalav, which supports rish lakish disnan. Meichalav arein kachalav. The Tanakama says whey is like milk. And moichel, which is juice that comes out of olives, areu kishemen. This halacha is only seeds have to be wetted with moisture with special liquids to be makshal kabel tuma. It's into that respect that they're considered cholav and zayis. Avalin and bishul basar v'cholav mecholav eina kacholav. So the statement that we made before supports this din of Reish Lakish. Torah bar. Lo savashel gedi b'chalevimo. Ainli b'chalevimo. Fine. You can't cook a goat in its mother's milk, or the milk of a goat. What about b'chalev par v'rachel? What about milk of a cow or a sheep? So Amid Kavachomer. There's no cross-pollination aveira to pollinate a mother and a child of a mother. It's the same species. Yet, Nesru imo bebishulo. The Torah said you can't cook the goat with its mother's milk. Par v'rachel shenesru imo barbo. You may not crossbreed a cow or a sheep with a goat. It's a different species. So certainly it should be also to cook in their milk. That even the milk of cows and sheep is prohibited. Look, why do I need a pasuk? You brought me a kavachomer. It's not a good kavachomer. It means you have to separate a cow and a sheep from a goat regarding cohabitation. Yet we don't separate a mother goat and its child goat. So mali imo shekenesrimo b'shchita. Yet you can't shecht the mother goat and its child on the same day. Tomer b'par shelo nesrimo b'shchita. But you can shecht a parah and a goat on the same day. So you can't learn the kavachomer. Talmud lamer b'chalevimo. So we need the pasuk to tell me that even milk of other species like cow and sheep would be prohibited. Tanya b'chalevimo enli ala b'chalevimo b'chalav achoyser gedolah minayim. How do you know you can't cook a goat in the milk of its older sister? The mother and the child could be put into the corral to be counted for Meiser in the same year. Yet Nesra Imo Bishul, you cannot cook the goat with its mother's milk. An older sister would be in a different year, so it doesn't go in the corral with its brother. So certainly in addition, from the Kavachomer alone, we would know. What do I need a pasuk? You brought me a Kavachomer. Because the Kavachomer is not good. You can't shech the mother goat and its child goat on the same day because of lo sishchatu b'yom echad. You can shech siblings on the same day, so the Kavachomer doesn't work. We have a pasuk. What about its younger sister? We learn it from a combination between cooking with its mother's milk and with its older sister's milk. Ma tesi. Tesi mi imo, you can't do it from the mother alone because you can't shecht a mother and the child on the same day. You can't put the older sister in the corral when you do meiser. So imo tochiach, back to the mother. So it's circular. Lori zekri zev, lori zekri zev. Hatzara shavish. What's the common denominator? In both cases, shu basar v'asur levashal b'cholov. Both in the case of the older sister and the mother, there's meat and you can't cook it in the milk. Afani avi achoyser ktana shu basar v'asur levashal b'cholov. There's meat and there's milk. There's a prohibition. You could have learned Achosek Del from the same. Then what do I need the pasuk for? What about eating the meat of the mother with her own milk? Amrit Kavachomer. You can slaughter two goats, children of a mother, on the same day. It's not pre and pre. Yet nesar pri ima'em b'shchita. But you can't shech the mother and one of the children on the same day. Mokum shenesar pri and b'bishul, where you cannot cook the child in its mother's milk, which is pri ima'em, eino din shenesar pri ima'em b'bishul. The product of the mother, which is milk, with the mother's meat, I would learn from a Kavachomer that it should be Yasser. Again, the Gemara asks, you just learned it from a Kavachomer. Where do you bring me a pasuk? Because you could break that Kavachomer. A horse, the son of a female horse, Achi Freda Yochiach. He has a sister that's a mule. Because the father's sus had relations with a donkey. She'asr pri and pri. You can't mate the horse and the mule. But mutter pri ma'em. The horse can have relations with its mother. So that breaks the Kavachomer that we tried to do. The Gemara says that's not a reason to break it. Hasam zera avu de kokarim. It's the zera of the father that made the difference. The ha pered ben susya. If you have a male mule whose father was a donkey and the mother was a horse, achi freda yochiach, who also has a mule as a sister, shemuter pri and pri. Both are donkeys, so they can mate. Lost pri ma'em. So you still have the Kavachomer. Amr Braid Ravina Mishum Deikla Memar Eved ben Shivcha Achi Mishuchreres Yochiach. You have a Shivcha Knani who has a child. That child is an Eved. But one of his brothers was freed. The sister is freed. So you have a son, which is an Eved, and an Eved, a Shivcha Knanis, which was freed, who's now Jewish. So Asr Pri and Pri, the two children, the Eved cannot live with her sister, the Mishuchreres. But Mutter Pri Ma'em. But The child can live with his mother. They're goyim. They don't really have incest like that. So the Gemara says, but a dad hasam get shichruhu to kogorim. It's not the fact that they're pre and pre. It's the fact that the shifcha kananis was given to get shichur. The ha'eved ben meshuchreres. If you had an eved, the son of a shifcha kananis who was freed, who had lived with an eved, so that's why the product is an eved, and who has a shifcha as a sister, achi shifcha yochiach, shemuter pri and pri. There, the two siblings can live with each other, v'asur pri ma'im, but they can't with the mishuchreres. El onrav idi baravim mishum deikla meimar klai zroim yochichu. When you plant grape seed and wheat seed, she'asur pri and pri, you can't mix grapes and wheat. Mutter pri ma'im, but the wheat could mix with the mother wheat. It's planting that causes a problem. If you put seeds in a jug, that does not become usher. Remember, we started the problem with can you cook the mother in its own milk? Now, a kid with its mother are two different animals. The mother's milk with the mother all comes from guf echad. There's no real kavachor, you need the pasuk. Okay. It says lo savashal gedi b'chalei. How do you know you can't eat when you cook milk and meat? Shene'amar loy soichal kol toyeva. Any abomination you may not eat. Anything that I say is forbidden, you can't eat. So we're not supposed to. Basar b'chalav is considered a toeva, so we can't eat it. Fine. That's a source for not eating it. What about bahanoa minai? How do I know I can't have hanoa? Ravavo, dam ravavo, rav Elazar. Kol makom shenemar lo yoichel lo yisoichel lo yisoichlu echad yisra achilu ve'echad yisra hanoa b'mashra. It means both. Ad shifrod l'cha kosov geder sheport l'cha b'nevela. Unless the Torah says you can benefit it, like it did by nevela, where it says lager b'nesino lo avid kachav v'mechira. You could give it to a ger or sell it to a goy. The Tanya, lo yisoichlu kol nevela. Don't eat nevela. What do you do with it? Lager asher b'sharecha titnena v'achala. Give it to the ger at your gate. He will eat it. O machor l'nochri, or sell it to a goy. From the Torah, you might think you can only give it to a ger or sell it. How do I know I can sell it lager b'mechira to a ger minayin? Tamad lomer lager titnena o machor. Both. Lo avid kochav v'nesim. How do I know I can give it to a goy? Tamad lomer titnena o machor l'nochri. Nimsa echad ger ve'echad avid kochav bein mechir bein nesima. Rab Meir holds you can give it or sell it to either a goy or a ger. Rab Yehuda Omer, no, it's exactly like the Torah says. Devorim kichsava. Leger ben esina, you can only give it to a convert. And you can only sell it to a goy. My time in Rab Yehuda. If you hold like you could do either to Rab Meir, Lichtov Rachmana lo yisochlu kol nevela. Lager asher b'sharecha titnena va'achala umachor. What is this? O lamali, which divides it. Shema min aledvam kichsavenu dasa. Lager benesim lo v'kachavim mecher. What does Rab Meir say to the O? Rab Meir amalacha hi O. There's a preference. Lahagdim nesina de ger I'd rather you give it to a ger before you sell it to a goy, but you can do either. What does Rabbi Yehuda say to that? Svaruhu. A ger is a Jew. A non-Jew is not. The ger, you are commanded to keep him alive. A non-Jew, you don't have to keep him alive. Simin Shabbos Choresh Klaizraim Oisaves Novish Lachakein. And we're going to ask Elameyato, but this we'll start learning tomorrow. Okay. Tonight we will learn Nehemiah Perek Gimel at 8:00. Good night, everybody. We'll see everybody later.
See you later. Thank you.